Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney is punching back at Donald Trump after Donald Trump's recent threats trying to intimidate Canada and say, we don't want to do a deal with you. We don't want the USMCA. You've got to just do whatever the hell we want. Prime Minister Carney says, we're not making a bad deal ever with the United States. No deal is better than a bad Trump deal. Watch what Prime Minister Carney says right here. It's powerful.
There'll likely come a point where that possibility emerges. We also judge the possibility. I mean, we could sign a bad deal this afternoon, right? We could have signed a bad deal a year ago. We're not going to sign a bad deal. So it has to be a real deal.
Then Prime Minister Carney is asked a question about Pete Hoekstra, the U.S. ambassador to Canada, who says that we're not even close to making a deal with Canada. We're not even anywhere near deal terms. Prime Minister Carney says, we understand the way these Americans work. We understand Trump and Hoekstra. We get that they're frauds. But you know what? If they want to do a deal, we'll do a good deal, but we're not going to do a crap deal. That's it. That's the bottom line. Let's play this clip.
Ambassador Hoekstra told CTV News on Tuesday that Canada and the U.S. aren't, quote, anywhere close in terms of a deal. You just spoke with the president yesterday. Do you agree?
What I have seen with the president is that you're not close to make a deal and then you make a deal. I've seen that in different cases. It doesn't mean the deals are good deals, but it means being prepared, having done the work, knowing what you want. So both things can be true.
Just so you can see for yourself what Pete Hoekstra was saying on Canadian TV, this guy is utterly despised in Canada. I mean, he's a real vile human who just goes and spews hatred against Canadians. He's there literally to intimidate, harass. He's an Epstein-class predator, in my opinion, who's just out there as part of the Trump cabal attacking Canada. And here's Pete Hoekstra over here talking about, why would Canada be upset about anything? We put tariffs on everybody. They just need to get over it. It was actually a great interview. And the interviewer was like, I understand that you're upset. I guess, like, I'm not upset. This is me being happy. I'm happy. Here, watch Pete Hoekstra. What a vile thing he is. Let's play this clip.
But you framed the initial comment there around, taking issue with the fact that it's being described as a rupture. But you want us to refer to the comments from the president, for example, or the way in which he's described this country as simply noise. I'm presenting to you just like when you're wondering why there might be some hesitation not to further integration or make that sales pitch in the way you describe it, that perhaps is part of it, that part of the responsibility and the onus, the burden of that lies not just with Canada, but specifically with the president who decided to take aim at your close friend and neighbor.
We did not take aim at Canada.
Those statements are not taking aim, with all due respect, Ambassador.
Take a look at your economic, we put tariffs on every country in the world. We did not take aim at Canada. We took a policy that we were implementing on a global basis that we believed we had to put in place to keep America strong and prosperous. So, there were only two countries that responded in a strongly negative way. Okay? The rest of the world, we've negotiated trade agreements, we've worked on frameworks and those types of things. We did not take aim at Canada.
Really? And I ask with great respect, because yes, you did apply tariffs to other countries, but you initially applied 232 fentanyl-associated tariffs to Canada. And wherein the president, did not refer to every other country in the way that, as I cataloged, he has referred to Canada. I understand that you're upset with the response that Canada made.
I'm not upset. It doesn't bother me.
Okay, you don't view the response from Canada positively. But from where I sit, it seems like you're frustrated with the idea that when Canada got punched, they didn't just lay there.
That, Canada can have whatever response it wants.
More from this interview with Hoekstra. And Hoekstra then says, we're not anywhere near making a deal with the United States. Sure, there's a July 1st USMCA or Canada-CUSMA, Canadian-US-Mexico agreement deadline, which is like 3 days away from right now. We don't want to do a deal. This is like the way the U.S. conducts business, chaotic, It's ridiculous under the Trump regime. And this behavior, again, is why the United States is now facing economic and has faced economic catastrophe, and why America's reputation is irreparably harmed because of scumbags like this. Here, play this clip.
Do you, sir, have a gut feeling as to what will happen on July 1st?
I don't think, obviously, we're not anywhere close to announcing any type of a framework or an interim agreement. I really think it's in the hands now on our side. It's going to be the president, and I'm assuming on the Canadian side it will be the prime minister to determine what the next steps are and directionally where we're headed.
But I digress. Back to Canadian Prime Minister Carney right here. He says, look, you can say what you want about Canada, but we're creating new jobs at twice the rate of the United States. Play this clip.
Canada is now creating jobs at twice the rate of the United States. Our business investments are growing in machinery and equipment at double-digit rates. Non-U.S. exports are up sharply, and we're on track to double them over the next decade.
And he said, we have clear goals and visions. While the U.S. is in a state of chaos, unpredictability, unreliability, Canada has a plan. It's not going to be easy, but we're ready to transform Canada into the strongest economy in the G7. Here, play this clip.
And this September, we'll convene the world's largest investors in Toronto for the first ever Canada Investment Summit. Our goal is to transform the Canadian economy into the strongest in the G7. That's a big task, but the early signs are encouraging.
And then he goes on to let's talk about the deals we've made. We've entered into more than 20 economic and security partnerships across 5 continents over the past years. This includes deals with India, other nations that we met with at the ASEAN conference. Real deals, written down, on paper, binding, not frameworks of hypothetical negotiations in the future. Let's play this clip.
To build a more resilient and independent Canada, we've secured more than 20 economic and security partnerships across 5 continents over the past year. Our existing free trade deals already provide access to 1.5 billion consumers. We're now on track to double that market this year with deals from India to ASEAN.
And Prime Minister Carney says direct investment in Canada right now, it's booming. It's investment though, so it takes time, but we're attracting a lot of investment here. Here, play this clip.
Foreign direct investment in Canada is at its highest level in 2 decades, running at twice the rate of our nearest G7 peer. And we now rank as the most attractive country in the world for infrastructure investment.
And he says, look, Canada is worth fighting for. I want to be very clear. You have the Trump regime conspiring with separatists in Alberta for a referendum to try to divide Canada as part of the Trump regime's 51st state plans. It's part of the attack on Canadian sovereignty. But Prime Minister Carney says Canada, for all of its flaws, for all of its imperfections, like lots of countries, but Canada is special. Canada is proud. Canada is strong. And Canada is moving forward. And Canada means something to the world right now. And let me say this from the United States. Prime Minister Carney's really one of the leaders, if not he's the leader of the free world right now. And that's how Canada is viewed, as the leader of the free world. Not the United States, Canada. Let's play this clip.
It was about Alberta. Look, I think what's the core message? First, is Canada's worth fighting for. I mean, this is the greatest country in the world. We're not perfect. We can get better, but Canada's worth fighting for. And standing up for Canada and supporting Canada is important. Motivation is always an issue in any vote referendum.
Now, shout out to the head of Meidas Canada, Charlie Angus over here, who has just been relentlessly exposing the fact that Kristi Noem, Donald Trump's former Homeland Security Secretary, who would put all the people in the concentration camps, how she got a board advisory position in a Nova Red mining company. And there's a lot of red flags about this Nova Red mining company as well. And it's a junior mining company out there and what its intentions, really are. And does it actually have mining facilities? Like, that's a good thing to probably ask. Like, bringing Kristi Noem has just raised a lot of red flags about what the hell's actually happening here. Watch what he has to say about that. Play this clip.
Then they brought in Kristi Noem. Now, Kristi Noem, of course, has a notorious reputation for trashing Canada. She's attacked us again and again and again. She's lied about us relentlessly, claiming when she was head of Homeland Security that the Canadian border was the threat to the United States, claiming the gangs were coming over and the terrorists were coming over, as Kash Patel was saying. This woman hates us. She has no business doing any business in our country. But they chose her as their new face. And of course, it has caused a huge, huge backlash. Again, their stock price just on the eve of announcing Kristi Noem was at about $1.88 a share. Now it's down to $1.52. Boom. People are mad about this. They're mad about a woman that defied the federal courts in the United States and had people shipped to El Salvadorian concentration camps where they were beaten and tortured and raped, are now going to be playing a role in a Canadian corporation. And they are angry, righteously angry, at how she smeared the memory of Alex Pretty and Nicole Good, who were murdered on the streets of Minneapolis, and she called them domestic terrorists. Again, this woman is against everything that is of value to Canadians, our value to the rule of law, our value to fairness and decency. And of course, her relationship with the Indigenous people in South Dakota when she was governor was absolutely toxic. So this is a mining company that needs to negotiate on Indigenous territory. Is that their idea of negotiating? A woman who bragged about building the concentration camps at Alligator Alcatraz and insulted First Nation people and has threatened and attacked our country relentlessly. Is that who they're bringing into our nation to try and take our resources with their military dudes that they've got?
Man, I love Charlie Angus. He's so powerful. So powerful words right there. Here's what he also says about how people used to assume that the United States was our bully, but we realize now the United States is no friend. And by the way, what is it now? It's only like 12% approval of the United States and Canada. Here's what he has to say. Play this clip.
There was a BBC study just done that said whenever the Trump administration makes a major announcement, say on Venezuela or in Iran, just prior to that, massive amounts of money are traded and some people are making out like bandits. So are we talking that the whole world economy is being upended to benefit the gangsters who hang around Donald Trump? Well, we don't know. But what we do know is that the United States choke point of the Strait of Hormuz, where now the United States is being choked, but the whole world is suffering the asphyxiation at a much higher rate, that the United States is no longer the trusted country for addressing this. People used to just assume the United States would find a way to make a solution. They were the big bully on the block. They were our bully. We stuck with them. But now they are not trustworthy. So now this is why you're seeing Canada looking to Europe, Canada talking to China, the Europeans starting to look to Asia, everyone deciding they've got to get out from under this.
Because you hear what Trump's been saying a lot lately in some of the recent press conferences. We don't need Canada. We don't need Mexico. We don't want any of it, as Patrick Dehaan, who goes by the name Gas Buddy, explains. Canadian oil makes up 62% of the amount of oil the U.S. imports and 25% of every barrel that goes into U.S. refineries. How's that for energy independence? Let that sink in. Here's what Trump said. Let's play it.
Hey, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. And they have to treat us better. You know, with Mexico and Canada, we have trade deficits. We should have surpluses with them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything that they have. So.
And then you have the United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer. He's also a sociopath. And he goes, what really bothers us about Canada is that they've got these retaliatory tariffs, which are really mean. You can't do business with someone who does retaliatory tariffs like this. Jameson. Retaliatory, meaning you attacked they retaliate. Now you're mad that they responded to your predatorial behavior. Yeah, that's why the world views you as sociopaths who can't be dealt with. You're viewed as a bunch of psychos who have no reliability. Your word means nothing, and that's what you've turned the United States into. A Trump meme. A Trump meme stock. The great United States, a Trump meme stock, failing and crashing in a very short period of time. Here's what Jameson says. Let's play it.
Or Vietnam. So we're trying to change those rules, we call them rules of origin, to make sure that people aren't using Mexico as a third country hub. We would expect the same for Canada when we are able to get to some kind of an arrangement with them. You know, right now they have a different approach to the United States. They have some retaliatory tariffs still in effect, and that makes it a problem for us to negotiate.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about all of this. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.